Yo YouTube, what's going on? It's your boy SalvationsElite. We are back with another video, guys, and today, man, we're talking about the future of Call of Duty. We're talking about the Call of Duty League, the CDL as we now know it. If you guys watched the last video, guys, you know they announced 2 more teams. We now have 7 teams in the league, and we're talking about whether or not this league is going to be good for Call of Duty. There's been so much debate on Twitter, on Reddit, in YouTube comments about whether or not this league is going to actually be beneficial for Call of Duty in the long term, or if it's going to kill Call of Duty in the next year or two because it's going to be an absolute failure. Kind of what spurred me to really make the video about this right now was that Sundance and Hex talked about it on Hex's podcast just a few days ago, and I really wanted to talk about, you know, that and the future of competitive Call of Duty as a whole in this video. So just before we get into the video, I just wanted to say that I'm thinking about next weekend, the 13th and the 14th, Saturday and Sunday, potentially one of those days for doing the next community tournament. So the 4th annual, the 4th inaugural, the 4th whatever the word is, tournament, SalvationsElite community tournament. Obviously the last 3 have been so much fun, and I can't wait to do another one. And so hopefully we can have a lot of interaction, have a lot of fun with this one, and make it happen. That's hopefully going to be the next weekend, the 13th or 14th. And if you guys want to join, the link is in the description down below to the Discord, which is where it all goes down. So I just sent out a poll to the people if Saturday or Sunday would be better for them, and so we'll see. I'll let you guys know in an upcoming video, and I'll announce it officially probably like in the next few days, I guess, probably like right after the 4th of July for the next community tournament. So anyway, finally, let's get right into the video because I want to talk about this league. Let's go. So first of all, let's just go over what we know about franchising at this point. So what we know is there's more than likely going to be 12 teams, and already 7 of them are already announced. So right now we got ENVY, which is in Dallas. We got Toronto, which is Splyce. We got Atlanta, New York, Paris, Minnesota, which is Garyvee and the Vikings ownership team. And then we got Los Angeles, which is Immortals. So we got 7 already. We're assuming 5 more are going to be added in because the Overwatch inaugural season was 12 teams as well. I mean, if they could get 16, I'm sure they probably would. And with how many teams are being announced so far, I would assume the lesser amount is more plausible at this point, since we only have 7 confirmed already. So we do know that like Major League Gaming is still going to have majority control of the league and how that works. Activision owns MLG, so they have MLG run all these events. So we should have all the same people that are currently in charge of the league now still be in charge of the future league or franchise league. But I'm sure there are some things that Activision has to tell them how it's going to be run. Like in some sense, there has to be like, okay, well, we're going to have this many teams, we're going to have a league, and we're going to have a championship. We don't know that much else besides like those basic facts about the league at this point, which I can't wait to know more about it, but we're probably not going to know more about it until like September or so. Everyone's expecting that the first event wouldn't be until either December, January, or February. So we have a long ways to go until the league actually starts, which is normal with, I mean, Call of Duty normally. I mean, this year the first event was in December, and the game came out in October. So there is a waiting period there regardless. But we still don't know whether or not next year it's going to be 4v4 or 5v5, and it could be either one at this point. Who really knows? We don't really know at this point, and we don't really know how it's going to work team-wise. We have to assume that they're going to have a handful of substitutes per team, between 1 and 3 for sure. And I would say more than likely 2 substitutes per team. And then we also assume there's going to be some type of amateur league. But we don't know what that's going to look like at this point, and we haven't heard any details about it from MLG yet. So there's still so much that's up in the air, and we still have so much to like figure out and understand and hear about from the MLG themselves, and I can't wait to hear more about it. And I absolutely trust MLG, Adam Apostella, and the whole team in Columbus to make that happen. As you know, I did intern there, so I know most of them. Even though I know them, they don't hand out information for free, so I don't get as much inside information as some of you would probably wish I did, and as much as I wish I did. But you know, I don't expect them to give away any inside information. That's not what they do. They're a pretty tight book around there, and I respect them a lot. So, but if any of you guys are watching right now and you guys want to hit me up, I mean, I wouldn't say no to some information, but, you know, jokes aside. Anyway, overall, I think they're going to do a good job with the league, but there's still so much work to be done, and we don't really know that much about it yet at this point. And so that's why it's been such a confusion for so many people so far. So we do know that teams are going to have to change their names, so they can't just be the Dallas Envy. They have to be something else, just like Overwatch, which is, I mean, I'm personally not a big fan of, and I think that's an Activision ruling, not an MLG ruling, because there is no way MLG would be down for that. I mean, MLG knows the value of the brands that Call of Duty has already created, And if MLG was in charge of it, they would not force teams to change their name. That has to be an Activision thing. And the other confirmed thing, which isn't necessarily confirmed because MLG hasn't said it themselves, but I mean, technically, I guess they have. Sundance, you know, who obviously was one of the co-founders of MLG, and Hex on the Eavesdrop podcast just a few days ago talked about the future of open events with the franchising coming into effect. And Hex did say that Anaheim is not going to happen anymore, and Sundance did go along and agree with him that, yeah, it sucks, but more than likely it'll come back eventually. So I don't need to paraphrase it anymore. We can just play the clip real quick. It's like a minute or so long, but hang with it. It's a good clip overall and worth watching, so let's play the clip.
Events like MLG Anaheim will never happen again because of, or they will, but not necessarily for Call of Duty the way that they've happened before. Does that sadden you a tiny little bit?
Yeah, man. I think because that aspirational component, the greatness that you have, the potential for greatness that you have in an open environment for competition is, in theory, someone can go off and it's any given Sunday, right? Yeah. I understand why there's a movement away from that stuff, but I'll tell you this: I'd be real surprised if in some shortish period of time over the next year, change, whatever it may be, you don't see that resuscitated. You don't recognize how important something is. Like you take out a structural beam in this building, like, oh, I like it. It looks better. And then the ceiling falls. I feel like that could be what
one of the things
would happen, right? Yeah. I'm not saying it 100% will, but the community deserves that as well.
So it sounds like in the first season, which really, really sucks, that they're not going to have open events in any aspect, which I think is really disappointing. And I know a lot of the competitive Reddit is going to, like, hates that idea. And Twitter hates that idea, and I think most people in the community hate that idea that they're not going to have open events. And as someone who works open events and doesn't work the pro league because I don't live in Columbus, it sucks for me because I don't know if I'm going to have a job next year with MLG. It's hard to say at this point. But I am wholeheartedly rooting for the open events to stay around because it gives me a job and allows me to stay close to MLG. So obviously, I'm in that camp that I would love to have the open event. But there should still be some type of playoffs or champs in some aspect. I don't know if it'll be called champs or if it'll be like called the playoffs or something along those lines, but there should be like some type of grand event that ends the season in some way besides there just being the pro league events. And the other thing is, where are they going to play the pro league events? The Overwatch League is played in Los Angeles in the studios down there. Obviously they're playing the pro league right now in Columbus, and that's been happening for the last 3 years. So is that where it's going to be? Is it going to be in Columbus? Is it going to be in Los Angeles? Like, just like Overwatch, I'm sure they'd like to have some live crowd there at the Pro League events. And, I mean, it does bring a lot more atmosphere to the events. There's a lot more character inside of the live stream when you have that live crowd there. There's been no news about it whatsoever. They did just revamp the studio in Columbus. So if I had to guess, I would assume it's going to be in Columbus. But I don't know. Right now, you can't attend it because there's just not, how the venue's set up, there's just not space for enough people to make it worthwhile to have fans there. They're gonna have to figure out something if they want fans to come to the Pro League next year, because right now the venue's just not suited for that to be the case in Columbus. So the other question that I've seen a lot on like Reddit and again on Twitter and everywhere is like, how are people gonna go pro next year? And I think that should be through the amateur league or the amateur circuit or however that's set up. I mean, obviously they've tested out some type of like grassroots like tournament style things based off like pro points and whatever in the past, and I wouldn't be surprised if that's how they do it again next year with some type of like pro points. They've been talking about that's going to be the case, but similarly maybe it's a rank play system inside the game, just like in Overwatch or League of Legends or CSGO, where like in-game matters a lot for how you go pro, and like ranking up inside of league play or rank play or whatever they call it inside of Modern Warfare, that's how you end up going pro. So you get to high enough level and you're starting to play with all the pros all the time, and that's how you go pro. I don't know, maybe. I mean, maybe that'd be great. I would love that personally. And that's a big aspect of why, you know, what we're going to talk about in a second, and is why I'm pretty optimistic about the league anyway. But that is a potential option. Like I said, I hope it's something like CSGO or League of Legends, with at least when it comes to rank play, whether or not that's how you go pro or not. They need to have a really good rank play system if they want to have a really successful competitive scene. It's literally the most important aspect of having a good competitive scene, is having a great rank play system inside the game. So what effect will this league have? I know we've been rambling about it for the past, like, I don't know, 10 minutes or so, however long this video already is. And what effects is it going to have on the league? I personally think I mean, I'm optimistic about it. I personally think that it's going to be a pretty good thing for the league in general. I know that's not the most common opinion. I think a lot of people think that this league is going to really hurt Call of Duty, that it could potentially kill Call of Duty, like I said in the title. Like, there's a lot of people who believe that, and I think a lot of you guys are going to drop comments down below and say that exact thing. Why I'm optimistic about it is because Activision finally has incentive to push players towards like ranked play, competitive, towards the CWL. Before, their only goal was to juice the casual scene for cash. So, you know, they're trying to spit out DLCs, boxes, loot boxes, variant weapons, whatever it is, to juice the pubs for cash, because that was their only source of revenue. But now there's so much cash behind the Pro League and behind the COD League, or whatever it is, you know, at this, whatever the name is at this point, that now the money talks to Activision, and they're gonna have to pay attention and put a lot of effort and money into making this Pro League successful, which is the most exciting aspect of it for me, is that, you know, Activision finally has a reason to like competitive Call of Duty. They literally have not liked it for the past 5-7 years, it feels like, and that's what gets me the most pumped. So hopefully that means there's gonna be a really good competitive rank play, you know, league play type list inside the game itself, and hopefully there's game battles integrated into the game like there was in Infinite Warfare, which was awesome, and World War II. So I know I've been rambling way too long about this. It just, you know, I'm passionate about it. I really want this to succeed, and hopefully somehow this leaks through all the layers towards Activision, that they can help improve the league, or MLG in some way, and it helps improve the league in one way or another. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you guys did, like, favorite, and subscribe. Drop all your comments down below, literally everything, about what you think about competitive Call of Duty, what you think about the CDL, the Call of Duty League, and what you think Activision and MLG should do with the future of competitive COD, and what do you think that Modern Warfare should be like to support the competitive scene. So anyway, as always, guys, I'm your boy SalvationsElite. I want to do this long term. I cannot do that with you guys, so I appreciate all the support. And as always, I'm your boy SalvationsElite, and we'll see you next time. I'm out.